Hello, everybody. I'm Jalen, and today we're going to go on a different kind of world tour here. I just recently passed 500 days in Season 2 of our survival world here, and that means we met the criteria I gave myself to be able to go back to spawn, so I'm really looking forward to doing that, but I thought I would take one last episode here to just kind of visit everything we've done and add quite a few things along the way, so going in order of how we built things here, starting with the hidey hole here, which we actually have already given quite a bit of love, and I'm feeling like it's looking pretty good. And I'm not trying to like over detail things just to do something to it, but I will go ahead and just add a little bit of texture to the floor here, which I do in a few places, just getting rid of the big masses of planks. Anytime you can break up just a whole bunch of planks together, it's worth doing. And yeah, the waterfall here, I was already pretty happy with how it was looking, but I went around and just added a little shape with some stairs and mainly added a bunch of moss, just spreading some moss around with some bone meal, and I ended up going kind of crazy and spreading it all over the place and over the hidey hole, and it looks really good. Getting the moss here in the spruce forest just looks really good because there's so much brown, the green just looks really nice. And yeah, also in the first couple episodes, we put quite a bit of work into the farm here, and I'm really happy with how this farm looks, to be honest. I could probably go and add a few details here and there, but honestly, we're just going to add one big detail. Or two, I guess, if you think about it. But first, it's going to be a big windmill here, which I wasn't really planning on doing, but I thought I would go ahead and just extend the land here a little bit, and figuring this nice open space right up to the water would kind of make sense for a windmill, since it's not going to fit very well in the rest of the forest. So yeah, we just go with our typical windmill that I've built before in a few episodes. You've probably seen this. Just kind of work my way up, have it work its way in as we get taller, with a nice little round, tall steeple, I guess you would say, for the top portion. My favorite thing about this one is the color palette we got going on here. I think the mangrove and the birch just go really well together. I like the contrast. And yeah, just do our typical roof we usually do for these towers here, and went around and used some slabs just to create a little depth in a few spots and give a little shape to the building. And I think it looks real nice, and the fences kind of round things off. I really like the look here. But now the best part of a windmill is getting the blades going. I like to try to give them a little shape, make them not completely straight, and I like the combo of using the planks and then just the walls to create a little edge. But yeah, then I just went around and added my typical details. Again, as you've probably noticed, I've kind of got my general way of doing things as far as window frames and just getting the fence around the area. And I will be turning this into a villager-powered wheat farm eventually, so the fence will keep the villager in and the zombies out. And then I went around with some azalea leaves and just created some bushes to separate the lawn from the farm itself, and I used some moss carpet to create a mowed grass look. I always think it looks really nice. I forget where I learned that, but something that stuck with me. And we're not gonna worry about an interior or anything today. We'll have the villager living in there eventually, and out here is where we'll have the wheat field with a cart track under it, which will empty the wheat into this building as well. So but that's a project for another day. Feeling pretty good about where we got, just getting the windmill in. I really like the placement of it here. So yeah, again, in those first couple episodes, we worked on our starter base here as well. And like I said, this is another thing that's already gotten kind of 2 episodes worth of work into it. And I'm feeling pretty good about where it's at. It's been a really nice place to live. It's been my main base all season, even though these last few episodes I've been kind of stuck in the cave, so I haven't been up here quite as much. But it's definitely done its job nicely and real comfortable place to live. And once again, I was fairly happy with where it's at, but I did want to break up the planks on here on the deck and in the house for that matter. Just looks a little better to try not to have too much of one type of block all together. Then on the inside, I went ahead and stripped the logs as well. Just looks a little nicer, and yeah, definitely just breaks things up rather than having the big massive planks. From there, we got working on a nature trail up into the mountains, so I could make my trips up there. First, we'll pass our micro farms here, but that's a couple episodes ahead, so we'll come back to that later. But yeah, I got going on our nature trail here that I use quite a bit going to our caves. I've been going back and forth a lot, and we got the travel lodge built here, and I just think this ends up being a really cool little thing, and it's slowly going to get expanded on as we go here. This lodge has kind of worked out as just a secondary little base. I drop things off here every now and then, use it to sleep. It's been nice, but the thing I want to add to this area is I want to rockify these mountains a little bit. So I tried to just pick some natural spots in the hill that I thought would look good to have some stone poking through, some outcroppings, if you would. And always use some stairs and slabs to try to give a little shape to things, and just getting this pop of stone mixed in with all the brown of these hills is going to look really nice. That's one thing about the spruce taiga here, is that there's just lots of brown, so this actually ends up being a really worthwhile project here, just creating some rock in the hillsides. This is a cool one here. I've been planning on making this nice rock wall right outside of the lodge. And I'll come back and go through another round of this. I'm pretty much just using stone and cobblestone and stairs here for the most part. It'll look a lot better if I come back with some moss and some mossy cobble and different types of stone, and just really make things look good. But again, just getting the pops of the rocks poking through really adds a lot to this hillside here. And I went all over the place. As well as going around and spreading a little moss around, because that just seems to make everything better around here. And I'm really liking the hillside here. Definitely just makes a huge difference just getting the pops of gray and the greenery compared to the brown hills surrounding it. Definitely just makes it a lot livelier. It can step up a couple levels from here, but I'm feeling pretty good about where we're at for now. Yeah, another nice view of the micro farms there, but once again, we're not quite there yet. Next episode, we built the nether stump over here, and when I built it, I really liked the idea of keeping it natural and blending it with the area, but now I decided I think it would be cooler to netherify it a little bit. So I went ahead and cleared the top greenery off out here and replaced it with some nether materials. And I really like how these crimson trees ended up looking from a distance. They just really pop from however far you are and draw your attention. I got spreading the nylium around the ground as well, and I ended up just really liking how the red and the bright green of the moss ended up contrasting down here. Yeah, like I said, I think the trees just really pop up there, and even the red grass really pops with the sunlight in the back there. Looks pretty good from the starter base from a distance at night. Even though it's kind of dark, I'll get it lit up a little better than that. But I came back here to go to sleep so we can see what it looks like in the daytime, and I'm really happy with how it turned out here, actually. I was originally going to mix some of the warped nylium in there and get some of the bluer grass, but I just liked the way the red and the green looked together so much, I decided to just go completely crimson around here, and I'm glad I did. I really like how it turned out. Then I got working on beautifying this path a little bit here. It'd be nice to have a nice walk along the beach here, so start by just getting a few lights in, and then I go ahead and commit to the 3-wide path. I always like to dig it out first just with path blocks. We will put a dock down here, and this will kind of be the end of the main path, and then this way it'll be a little bit smaller working to the nether portal. But I did go ahead and just start adding some texture, mix of oak planks, coarse dirt, and mud bricks. And we got our dock put in here and just continued adding texture to the path here. And this is always a pretty big job, and I always procrastinate on doing it, and it's kind of annoying to do, but It always just looks so nice when you're done, and always feels worth it. It's definitely something I would say to do in your world if you don't do it. But yeah, up here is where we're gonna really start a project here. So I went ahead and cleared the trees out, and I went to my tree farm and chopped some trees, including some mangrove. Then I healed my tools up because they were about to die. And then I got to work on laying out the platform for a new tree house here. Or should I say, tree barn. Yeah, we're gonna build a big old barn up here. It almost looks like it's gonna be too big originally here, I was worried about, but once we get things built, it actually ends up fitting in pretty nicely. But yeah, I'm gonna put a barn up here, and it's gonna be one of the micro farms just to go along with the micro farms over there as well, and it's gonna be my sheep farm. So I done a little math and figured the size it had to be to have one sheep of each color, and then I got going on building a pretty basic barn here, but it really ends up adding a lot to the area. And I just kind of got my way of how I shape my barns a lot of time. You can see how I work my way up there and just match up the front side here. Go ahead and take a step back, and I do like the scale we got going. You can see once you get down here, it doesn't look quite as outrageously big as you might have thought it was going to. I actually think it fits in really nicely. I really like this view here that we're going to get. And yeah, you might have guessed, we're going to go ahead and match it with the windmill down there. So we're going with some mangrove for the trim here. And I'm going to go ahead and just let it play out a second. I was real happy with what we got going here. I like getting the dark oak mixed in. But then I got expanding on things quite a bit because I ended up wanting to have a little pasture off to both sides. One for sheep, one for cows. So I ended up adding quite a bit to the footprint here. But it ends up looking really nice. Get a little path around the whole outside on both sides. And using the mangrove as a trim, which I just think looks cool in the area. And the mangrove and the dark oak just go really good together. Then I decided each side needed to have a little bit of a ceiling so that the cows and sheep can hide from the rain when it's raining. But as a big bonus, just giving the building a little more shape. Then I went around and now that we've got the building up, strategically planted some trees where it makes the building look more structurally sound, but they're also put in spots that aren't going to mess up certain views. So I definitely think about those things when I'm doing that. But I like the placement we got going here. I've actually been wanting to get rid of this tree for a long time because it has been blocking the view of my starter base up there. So go ahead and get that out of the way. And yeah, still definitely some details to be added and lots to be done, but as far as the shape and the color and scale, I think it's looking really good up here. And once we get some custom trees put in, that's going to make a real big difference. And we'll come back actually before the episode's over and do one little detail session on the area here just to help for the thumbnail mainly. But yeah, still lots to be done, but I think we've got a good start on things, and I've kind of got an idea for under the barn here that'll be fun to do, but we'll do that at the end of the episode just for the sake of keeping things moving here. Now we'll kind of go through our micro farms down here, and I really like how this area is turning out, and it's something that I'll definitely be expanding on. My goal is to just surround my starter base with a bunch of little micro farms. And yeah, you see they're working along here. My watermelon farm was actually not working for a little while, but I got it fixed and it's working now and plugging along. And obviously, I could do some work on the interiors right now, and it would be a good time to do that, but I feel like getting the sheep farm area put in is enough to kind of count for adding to the micro farm area. But I really like how they're all connected from the treetops. You don't even need to go down unless you want to, but you do want to go down into our little camp area here. I think this is really cool with the picnic table and the awesome fire pit and our little wood pile and stream over here. I was really happy with this just as a little useless detail. And I was actually planning on adding another farm here, which I will be doing eventually, but I decided that'll go well with an episode with what I'm going to do over here as well. So I've already got a lot going for this episode here, so we'll come back and do that later. Then I thought it'd be fun to take the horse, because next episode we moved into the caves, and go ahead and take you for the horse ride that I've done many, many times. I know we haven't seen too much of Silver. I've realized I haven't shown him as much as I probably should have, because I've been riding him a lot throughout the season, and I've really been enjoying it, actually. But yeah, you can see our nature trails is really fun to go along here, especially with our new rocks here. And as we expand on that, it's just going to get cooler and cooler. But I figure I haven't taken you on the ride start to finish to our cave area over here, and you can see this. I cleared all these trees, kind of opening up the path for when I do eventually want to put a path through here. So that's where I got a lot of my spruce wood. And fast forward a little bit, but you can see that the staircase down to our cave area isn't too far, and we'll build something here eventually. Yeah, fast forward down the long staircase and we come out into this deep dark area, which I'm really looking forward to doing something here too, which I'm hoping to get at some point this season, but it will happen eventually. But come into our elven cave here, and I've recently discovered something really cool about it. I used to just drop Silver off in this hole and walk around and do my things, but I've recently realized that I can take Silver with me just about everywhere, and I can enter all the buildings, get into all the chests. If I need to smelt something, I can just walk right in here and still on my horse. And it's definitely a lot faster walking around, and it's really something cool about the base, something unique, and I didn't even do that on purpose, but I've been enjoying it the last couple times traveling around in here with my horse. We're going to do something about the nether portal there, but first we'll take a little walk around here and just give you a little view of the area. Definitely something I'm really proud of, and I'm really looking forward to just keep expanding on. This whole season is pretty much going to be based on expanding this cave area, the treehouse area, and doing a little work in spawn here over the next few episodes, but I'm not going to go off from here. But yeah, you can see with the horse, just come in here and go through all my storage. I can do just about everything with him, and I think that's really cool about the base. But yeah, like I said, we're going to do something about this nether portal here. And I've been procrastinating on this, but it actually ends up being a project that came together really smoothly and pretty easily for me here, and ended up being real rewarding in the end. So I'm really glad I finally jumped in and did it. And my whole goal was to just have a nice big portal embedded right into the cave wall here. And in the end, I might wish I had gone a little bit bigger than I did, but I still end up feeling like it's plenty big enough. I have enjoyed building these oversized portals, and my whole goal for this one was to just have all the obsidian hidden. And so I used the diorite and wanted to have a nice round portal, so I kind of create the inner circle with the diorite and then use some deep slate on top of the diorite to make it round on the outside, if that makes any sense. That way it's not just a square with a circle in the middle. And yeah, just after some finagling, I go around and create one more row to add a little depth and have it go all the way around and just work it into the wall. And it ended up looking really cool here. Especially, I went around and started spreading some greenery around, and that really made a difference. But I eventually ran out of bone meal, so we're going to get sidetracked here for a second in a minute. But it does look good, and I'm really happy with what we got going. I would say goal complete. Nice round portal embedded into the wall. And I actually kind of like the interesting shape it got. It would have been a little more fun to work with the shape had it been a little bigger, but like I said, we ran out of bone meal, so I made a trip over to the skelly grinder we got put together a couple episodes ago, and while I was waiting around letting the skeletons pile up a little bit, I just spent a little time digging the area out so that I can eventually come over and build a little something here. Getting some bones along the way. But yeah, I'm not going too far here, but I did go ahead and get a floor in and get a general roof shape in. Obviously, I can mess with that when I really come and make a project out of it, but figured I might as well be doing something while I was letting these pile up. But yeah, we got our bone meal and came back to the cave and started just spreading the moss all over the cave and getting a couple trees around the portal here, which I think ended up looking really nice, especially the cherry tree. I'm really liking the cherry trees in this cave here. And yeah, just getting the green spread around, taking away some of the gray of the cave. And once I get a bunch of buildings put in here as we go and just different terraforming, it's going to really look nice. And yeah, I think the trees look really nice around the portal down here. In editing, it does look really dark down there. I promise it doesn't look that dark when I'm playing in my world, but we're just going to have to live with that. And yeah, we'll be heading up top here pretty quick, but next episode we actually came and got our dwarven cave going over here, which I'm just as excited for this area. Obviously not as far along here, but I really like our fortress we got set up to be our base of operations, and just the whole color scheme and the lava and the amethyst. I think this area is going to be really fun to expand on, but all I'm really focused on today is kind of getting this main area of the fortress kind of built up here in the interior. And my thinking with this is kind of going with a feast hall idea, kind of thinking of like Game of Thrones with the throne at the head of the table or at the head of the hall, but I'm actually going the two thrones since I have the two entrances, so I thought that was kind of a cool idea with a big table in the middle. And I went with the amethyst inside the table. I thought that was kind of a cool idea, cover it with some tinted glass. Then I was going with some amethyst as well, kind of some geodes popping out above the thrones, and in the act of doing this, I got killed by an enderman. What happened was I let my golden helmet break. I've been wearing a golden helmet just so I can go in and out of the nether, but I also I didn't realize I had let my boots break, unfortunately, and they were good boots. I've been meaning to take them off, and I just didn't do that, so I was weakly armored. But in the meantime, we just kept plugging away, and I think the interior ended up really cool here. I ended up going around the corners and kind of adding these banners hanging from the walls, and I added a little bit of texture into the walls and inside and out, and just put some floors in to extend into the little rooms off to the side, which I will be doing something with eventually, but I just wanted to get this main area done today. But we do got plenty of room to expand when I decide to move in here for more of a long-term stay in the probably not too distant future. I want to come around here and really do some work on the area. But I really like our interior of the fortress. I'm getting the little bit of texture on the outside. I think this looks really nice. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to coming and building in here and really putting some work in, whenever that might be. For now, I went down to the smelter and started putting together a bunch of blue glass for this upcoming project, and I realized just how cool the nether portal's looking from down here, kind of peeking above the trees there. I'm really liking how the portal came out. But now we're going to head up top to what we actually worked on in our last episode, which is the tree farm area up here. And we'd had this jungle area established, but I went ahead and really expanded into this cave, which is one of my favorite spots. And this glass sky up here is one of the favorite things I've done in this world, mainly just because it's something unique that I discovered on my own, and I really like how it works, getting some natural light coming through the glass there, and really a cool thing to have for a cave, because you can tell when it's day and night. So I'm going to go ahead and add another one up here. And I'm liking the idea of kind of breaking it up into sections rather than just having the whole ceiling be the sky, I think it'll be cooler to kind of have some holes in the top of the cave just to really keep that cave vibe. So I placed a bunch of glass up here, and then I went around with some stone and tried my best to kind of form it to the ceiling, which was easier said than done, but in the end I think we got it looking halfway decent. Then I just go around on top and put a bunch of white glass, kind of acting like clouds, as well as from underneath, get a little bit of depth. And I want to show you just how much of a difference it makes with the natural light on the left or torch light on the right. And you can just see how much cooler the natural light is, how it extends all the way down to the bottom and really spreads the light, where the torch light just isn't quite the same. So I went back up and drilled a few holes from the surface, about 10, just to really bring some natural light down into the glass. And the way the light spreads through the glass is what's so cool about it. Went ahead and took away all the torches, and I spent a bunch of time forming the stone to the ceiling here, but it was really dark and made a horrible video. So we're just going to skip to the end and give you a peek of the final product here. I think it's looking awesome. We really got the rock blended into the ceiling a lot nicer than it was, and I just think having the two sections of sky in here is really cool, and we'll be adding some more of those. But to finish things off here, I promised one last little detail session over at the treehouse area, and we're going to do just that, starting by just making the face of this barn look a little better. Face is a funny word for it, which you will see here in a bit. Then I went around and added a little texture around the edge like I like to do, just to create a little bit of shading. And I went down to my animal pen on the nature trail and ended up transferring the bulk of the sheep and the cows up to the farm up here, and I'll end up turning that pen into a mine at some point in the future. It does make a little more sense, and that's what I was planning on using it for in the first place. But yeah, kept it work up here, put a little texture into the windmill just to make it match and definitely look a little better. Then I got going on the project under the barn here, which is to just have a little bit of all the different flower types, and I end up just smoothing things out a little bit, put a little path around just to kind of break things up into sections mainly. And while I was waiting for some grass to spread, I planted the wheat field over at the windmill. And once I had most of the area covered in grass, I just started bone mealing all the different flower types, spreading them all over the place. And I think it looks really cool. I did decide I wanted the tall ones up top here, so I cleared those out and replaced them with the tall ones and spread the tulips around the bottom. But yeah, I think this little place came together real nicely, real simple. And we're still missing a couple flower types, so I left a couple areas for some blue orchids, and red tulips are the two that I'm pretty sure are the only two I'm really missing. But yeah, it'll just be nice having access to all the different flower types up here. And yeah, I'm really happy with how things have come together this episode. We got a whole lot done when you really look back and think about it. A windmill, a barn, a whole mountainside of rocks, another portal, the interior for our fortress, the glass sky. And I think this area down here is just really cool. I'm happy I finally came back and worked up here. I haven't been at the treehouse area for quite a few episodes. And I think the barn and the windmill just add a whole lot to the area, so I'm super happy with how things have turned out around here, and I'm really looking forward to heading back to Spawn next episode. I haven't been there since you have. For those of you who have, a lot of you haven't watched Season 1, so I look forward to showing it to you. And yeah, it's going to be a big turning point in the season. But we're going to go ahead and call that an episode here, so as always, I appreciate you all for coming, and have a good day.